things you do want to make sure that you have, and a couple of things you are aware of. So firstly speaking, one thing that's super important, I have a video about it, is heirloom gear. I'll leave a link to that video in the top right hand corner. But heirloom gear is going to help you kind of overcome the gear curve, especially weapons. They will enable you to kind of keep leveling very fluidly, although they're not the same as they used to be. Generally speaking, they have very good stats, they scale well, and the set bonuses do help you a little bit. So heirloom gear is one of the major things. Secondly, be aware of your EXP bonuses. The Dark Moon Fair is a great time to level ults because it allows you to take the Dark Moon Carousel, which is a 10% EXP bonus, and you can use the Dark Moon Magic Hat, which is also another 10% EXP bonus. So this is a pretty sizable boost that will enable you to level pretty quickly. The Drought of the Four Winds, or the Draft of the Four Winds, is also a useful item. You can buy that from BFA, so if you have access to Tiragard Sound, or you have access to Zildazar, you can buy those items for commendations from war skirmishes in BFA. Secondly, there's a couple items that you are going to want to utilize. First is the Goblin Glider Kit, something that's very useful when you do not have a mount, to allow you to jump from high places and basically just have a pretty easy time. And then the other one is the Rocket Boots. Also something very, very, very simple, but does, the gun boots. It is, gun shoes. So gun shoes are very, very useful. They allow you to propel forward, and they just, generally speaking, give you some kind of movement speed that doesn't require you to mount up and allows you to kind of move between areas and quests quite fluently. Beyond that, that is basically it. Just remember as well that obviously if you are a tank, you're going to have a bit of a better time in terms of managing your dungeon workload, or if you're a healer. And yeah, otherwise just make sure that you have these items for prep. You can have potions as well, you can have elixirs if you want to, depends how crazy you want to get with it, but generally I would consider heirloom, the Dark Moon buffs, and Rocket Shoes and Goblin Glider kind of the base leveling kit set if you want to really speed boost it nicely. Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to be talking about the Horde leveling guide from 1 to 60, and basically what the best route is for you to level your ults up to Dragonflight in World of Warcraft. So first thing, just to cover the basics, as I kind of did in my Alliance video, if you are not playing an allied race, you will need to start at level 1. You can choose between your faction's starting zone or Exile's Reach. Exile's Reach will be the best choice by far, as it's programmed to get you to level 10, whereas the other region starting zones can kind of be a little bit finicky in terms of where to go. Next, if we talk about classes, the classes that will be able to level fastest are going to be monks, because they have a natural EXP gain, or are going to be certain classes that have access to teleportation abilities, like mages, warlocks, for example. Pretty much all of those. Shamans also get one during Legion, so that all tends to help out. Then, of course, finally, just as kind of like a preface, obviously Valkyria as an allied race have the ability to set up a camp, so they also are a very good choice. But let's assume that you're going to be leveling a allied race, and you're going to want to choose a class that can obviously suit you overall. So, for the most part, I think it's pretty much up to your own choice. Monks do have a natural ability to level faster, but generally speaking, just kind of go for whatever suits you. I think you'll be happiest that way, rather than trying to go for something that you think is worth your time or maybe is the best. So we'll start as a High Mountain Taurian. This is just so that we can begin at level 10. And there's a couple of things you're going to want to obviously do. Here will be Templar Temp, as per usual. That name is restricted. Because we've got Templar. Template. Why is that name restricted? Okay, well, there we go. So anyway, we start at level 10, fantastic, and then we'll enter the World of Warcraft. If you're playing an allied race, you will enter your race's starting zone. If you are obviously playing a non-allied race, then you will enter Exile's Reach on the boat, which will kind of give you an introduction into the game. So there's a couple of things you want to do when you start the game. Okay, firstly, obviously, is move your recount out the way. Next is to enter the portal and head straight to Orgrimmar. Now there's a couple of things you want to do as setup for your character should you obviously want to make your life a little bit easier. So first things first, when you spawn in here, you'll kind of appear at this allied zone, and you can kind of accept or hand in this quest and be done here, and then you can find the command board. Don't worry about this right now. As you can see, there is Chromie over here. Now what you want to do is you want to speak to Chromie and you want to select the timeline. You want to select the Legion Invasion timeline. You're going to say, why are we selecting the Legion Invasion timeline? It was quite simple. You want to do this timeline, you want to skip the opening scenario, and then you want to get, quiet savants, and then you want to get to Dalaran, and you want to grab the Dalaran Hearthstone. This is going to help you out because it's going to give you 2 Hearthstones that are going to give you the ability to teleport in and out, basically from Thunder Totem, Orgrimmar, Dalaran, and eventually your garrison. And this is going to help you get around the world map a lot easier. Okay, but once you've collected your Hearthstone, you come immediately straight back here. You will not go back to Legion for a while. In fact, you will never go back to Legion. And then you will select the Cataclysm, which is, or sorry, the Portal to Outland, which is the Burning Crusade. And the reason you want to do this is for 2 reasons. One, by selecting the Burning Crusade, you give the ability for all the starting zones to reach the max level of 60. And this is incredibly important. Once you have done this, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you are now going to want to get from Orgrimmar to Tirisfal Glades. So this is a pretty straightforward process. You can speak to any guard over here, and you can select to go to Silvermoon. You're looking for the portal room, but the portal room is obviously over here. Once you get to the portal room, you're going to want to take it to Silvermoon, and then from Silvermoon, you're going to want to take the portal to Tirisfal Glades. And the reason why is because this is going to be the best place to begin leveling from a quest density perspective. So Tirisfal Glades is by far the best place to level in terms of your quest density, at least in the very beginning. So while we're on our way to Silvermoon, we're also going to just quickly talk about dungeons. And should you be doing dungeons? Well, you should. Dungeons are incredibly important and incredibly helpful. All the way up to around level 35, dungeons are a fantastic way for you to basically gain quite a significant amount of EXP. And the reason for this is pretty simple. Dungeons scale very well, and Burning Crusade dungeons especially have very good quest capabilities. So Burning Crusade dungeons are very quest dense with dungeon quests, and they have the ability to give you quite a bit of dungeon EXP, as well as also being relatively quick to run. Now there are a couple you'll want to avoid. You're going to want to avoid the Keep of Dunbold, and you're going to want to avoid the hills, but basically this is pretty good. Once you get to Silvermoon, you're going to run into this room, go to the Orb of Translocation. This will take you all the way to, obviously, good old Tirisfal Glades. And there we go. We are now in the Tirisfal Glades, and we can start beginning our quest lines. We're going to head out of Undercity. Don't worry about it. And we're going to head straight to our very first quest lines, which will be up here. So yeah, that is basically it. It's very straightforward. It's a super simple process actually to get here, and then once you're here, it's a pretty simple process to begin questing. You'll just travel to here and you'll be able to start your quest line. So very nice, very quest packed density area. And you're going to basically continue questing in this area right up until you get to around about level 20 to kind of like 20 to 20-ish, you're going to want to start at the War Chief Cometh, and you're going to want to work your way down into Silver Pine Forest, all the way up to around about level 28. And then once you get to level 28, you're going to want to move into Hillsbrad Foothills. And then Hillsbrad Foothills, you can kind of make a decision. But around about level 35, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Warlords of Draenor. So it's all pretty much in this area, as you can see here, to Restful Glades, all the way to Silver Pine Forest, through to Hillsbrad Foothills. It's all very quest dense, it's very close together, and it's all very, very straightforward. What you're going to want to do though is you are going to want to make sure that you grab flying. Flying is something that's going to be incredibly helpful overall, and is going to be very good for you in general. So yeah, so obviously I'm just moving directly into Silver Pine, but yeah, you basically want to quest here, here, and then you're all ready to go. Don't worry about finishing each of the quest lines, just kind of follow your natural quest density. Once an area starts to kind of get a bit too stretched, you're going to want to obviously move from area to area, and then that should keep you relatively busy. But now, of course, once you have quested until you hit around level 30, and with the dungeons, this shouldn't take you too long. With the dungeons and the questing, the general consensus or the general mark to hit is around about level 35. So this is generally where you want to now head back to Orgrimmar, and from there, you're going to want to look at going into Warlords of Draenor. And we'll talk about that now. So, in Warlords of Draenor, obviously the quest density is very, very good in the intro. You don't want to skip the intro at all. You want to basically activate the Warlords of Draenor quest line by going to Chromie, and you want to work through your quest line right up until you finish activating the first level of your garrison. And once you've basically retrieved the Fisherman Trainer for your garrison, and from there you want to leave. So you want to go to Warlords of Draenor. You're going to want to come to this area, and then you're going to want to stay here. And you're probably going to finish the intro and the garrison intro quests around level 42 to 45, give or take. You also don't want to do any dungeons at this point. Past the level 35 barrier, doing dungeons is kind of a lack of EXP gain. So it's not really something that's great for you to do. Once you get to around level 45, you're going to want to head back to Hillsbrad. So where we were, you want to head back to Hillsbrad, and you're going to continue questing in Hillsbrad right up until you get to around level 52 or 53. Now, there's a couple important things here that I want to cover so that you're aware of them. Firstly, you want to make sure that you are learning your flying and your riding capabilities at every single stage as early as possible. This is where your Hearthstones come in handy. You want to learn flying at level 30, you want to learn increased riding speed at level 20, and this is incredibly important overall because you need these to help boost the speed at which you are leveling. Secondly speaking, there are also some other things that you do want to be aware of. These things include, for example, certain EXP buffs like the Dark Moon Fair EXP buff, and obviously the Draft of 4 Winds EXP buff that you can obtain from the BFA expansion by trading for certain commendations at the Zuldazar Port or Kiltiris. So, once you get to around level 55 from questing in Hillsbrad, you're then going to want to come to Gorgrond. And Gorgrond is where you will finish your leveling. You can come here early, you can come here around level 52. Honestly speaking, it is fantastic. But yeah, once you're in Gorgrond, it's a very simple process. You're going to enter Gorgrond. You're going to start your questing experience around here by the Everbloom Wilds, and you're just going to run through Gorgrond. You're going to unlock things as you go along the way, certain things like the fighting or skirmish arena, and you're going to unlock basically all of those to unlock certain objectives. Those objectives will help you boost leveling. You're going to collect treasures along the way. Gorgrond's a very nice quest dense area that's very, very good, and you're going to want to end probably around about here in the swamp, in the Tangleheart Swamp. You will be finishing up leveling. Obviously, full disclaimer, of course, EXP can vary depending on the bonuses you have, the boosts you have at any given time, and pretty much everything like that. But to cut a long story short, it is, I would say, very, very simple process. You basically are in Terrestrial Glade, Silver Pine, and Hillsbrad up until level 35-ish. You're going to be using dungeons to help supplement your leveling up until that point. Then you're going to stop. You're going to come do Warlords of Draenor till around level 41 or 42. You're going to go back to Hillsbrad, finish up there at around level 51 or 52, and then you come back into Gorgrond and you finish up here. And Gorgrond's very quest dense, it's very good, there's lots of rares, and basically that's what you're going to want to do. And from there, it's very straightforward. Honestly speaking, there's not too much for you to really focus on. I think everything is a very simple process, and I think most players shouldn't have any major issues when it comes to understanding the process or how to kind of function in terms of everything. Like I said, you will get access to Beastwatch over here, and where I've made this lumberyard, you're actually going to want to make the fighting arena, so it's going to give you more access to certain capabilities. Should you be short of EXP, you can head down into Talador, and you can begin the quest line here at the Vol'jin's Pride waypoint, and there you can take the arsenal, and this will produce 2 bonus objectives that are nearby that should give you the EXP boost that you need. So it's a pretty straightforward process. Honestly speaking, you shouldn't really have a big issue. It's very similar to the Alliance side of things. The only difference between this side and the Alliance side of things is that on this side, obviously, instead of using the Alliance-based areas, you are going to want to use the Silver Pine Forest, and you're going to want to use Terrestrial Glades. So yeah, that basically covers it. That does cover everything that you need to know, and hopefully this should help you get to level 60 relatively quickly. It took around 8 to 9 hours for me to finish up leveling my Horde character using this method, which was pretty good because I wasn't using any EXP buffs or anything crazy like that. This is in the Tanan jungle, so don't come here. This is not the correct place. But yes, basically, it's a pretty straightforward system. And yeah, I think most players shouldn't have a major issue with it. Obviously, guys, just remember a couple of things. Being a tank will assist you with dungeon queues, but also being a healer will. Being a tank will allow you to control the level of pulls that you have. And of course, having things like heirloom gear does help you out quite a bit, and using things like the Darkmoon Fair buff and the Draft of the Four Winds will all help you out. But I hope, guys, that this has helped you in general, and I hope it's given you a decent idea of where to go and what to do to level your character as quickly as possible. But that's going to be it for me. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye.